Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increase conversions by more than 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. All right, everybody, welcome to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents. Today, we are joined by David Smith. He's the marketing e-commerce manager at Arns Equipment. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So I would say let's get right into it. We were just briefly talking about setups offline. I love your background, but obviously our audience wants to know more a little bit, about Arns Equipment. And maybe if you can tell us a little bit about your e-commerce business and its approach to growth and sales, and really what makes your brand stand out in the market?
Yeah, so kind of a quick rundown on us. We're just coming up on 80 years in the industry that we're in here in the OPE world, which is not a space that a lot of people think of when they think of e-commerce and e-commerce integration. So we run two sides, and you mentioned the background that I've got here. So there's Arns Equipment, which is our primary business, and we actually have an e-commerce company that we've been running for a long time called Parts House. Parts House is an online selling platform for us to sell parts to people that we've recently adopted the same platform back onto our equipment side here with the Arns Equipment. So we're fairly young in the e-commerce game. I'd say we're only about 4 years into it total, and not even fully a year into like the entire company being e-commerce based. So we're still early in that journey. We're still growing. We're still developing a little bit. But for us, it's been a fantastic opportunity to reach customers that we never reached before. The OPE world, outdoor power equipment, is very behind the times, I think would be fair to say. We're a very aged industry. And so as a result, one of the things that we're trying to do is bring that industry a little bit forward. And e-commerce is a huge part of that strategy for us. So a lot of the ability to ship to areas that are unable to get maybe from local suppliers. Canada is a huge country, and we're a proudly Canadian company. So we have a lot of our e-commerce customers who are reaching places where they don't have access to the equipment that we sell through a local seller, or if they do, it's 3, 4, 6 week lead times versus 3, 4, 5 days for us to send out to them. So it's been a huge part of us growing and developing our business platform overall.
That's awesome, man. I'm sure that those people maybe that live in rural areas that kind of struggle to maybe get to specific parts or, specific equipment that they might want, that you guys cater to them. That's awesome. Staying on your customers, what do you think is the best fit for your products? Or is it, obviously the outdoors people, but, professionals, I'm thinking, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so if I was to pick kind of 3 core categories that we really work with, it would be residential homeowners. So that's anyone from you have a postage stamp backyard all the way up to you've got 25 acres of yard to maintain and clean. We handle all of those kinds of customers, and they're our everyday customer. And then we deal a lot with commercial landscapers. So if you don't want to cut your grass yourself, somebody's coming out to do it for you. We cater a lot to those individuals. And again, we deal with guys who deal with, again, those small postage stamp yards, dealing it for condo boards or homeowners associations, all the way up to companies that are maintaining tens of thousands of acres of property. And then the last kind of space we occupy is what we call hardscapers. So those are going to be guys that are moving visual elements around that are going to make things, your arborists, your people who are laying paving or stones, that kind of stuff. We sell equipment that goes up to those guys. That would be our 3 core categories that we typically tend to engage with. And then within them, there's a whole bunch of them. Commercial landscapers, we have golf courses that we deal with that are fantastic. Especially with a new line we brought on that's like, it's used by the PGA. So it's really cool to be able to say like, hey, if you want a PGA level golf course, here you go.
Yeah,
So
of
yeah,
course.
we've got all kinds of customers across those spaces. And then the other thing to keep in mind is the ongoing conversation in our space is gas versus electric. Um, so
Got
we
it.
cater to
Okay.
both as well.
That's an interesting one. How do most of your customers discover you? Are there any marketing channels that become your go-to for bringing in new customers? Or obviously, the website is a big one, but I'm wondering how do they come to Arns equipment?
So website's huge, and for a long time was pretty much our soul. So website and SEO was a lot of what we focused on. We've expanded our online advertising presence, mostly Google. We're very heavily integrated into the Google advertising space. Things like Merchant Center and stuff are key tools for us. And then one of our new projects, and we were just talking about it, that we're going to be hoping is going to be a great customer acquisition, is we're investing in a studio here at our space where we're going to start making YouTube content to draw customers in through just educational content about the products we sell and directing them back to us.
Got it. Okay. Um, so obviously, as you mentioned, your website plays a huge role when it comes to putting in new customers, right? So when it comes to the website itself, is there anything that you think really works right now, or anything you got your eye on improving? And the reason for this question is, we got many e-com owners on listening, and marketers in general. So, maybe if you can share one of those things that really working, or that maybe you think could really make a difference in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I think the number one problem that us marketers get in is we love flashy, cool, shiny things. We're always chasing latest trends. Our website is sleek and modern, sure, but it's designed to function the way our users shop. We really built our web platform, and we're in the process of iterating on that even further here as we expand our team to build our website to be more conducive to the way that our customers are actually using that website. And I would say that's probably been our greatest key to success is that a lot of people, when we get comments through our chat systems or we get emails or even just follow-ups after we've sent product out to customers, we have a lot of these people that will say, hey, this is fantastic. Thank you for making it so easy for to find what I am and to like add everything and no hidden fees. You're not like at the last minute I'm in the checkout and it's like, oh, by the way, there's all these additional stuff. We've laid our website out very clean and clear. And we're even continuing to expand on that as we add things like payment processing, calculators for finances, abilities to submit financial applications online, and those are features that we're adding as customers have given us those feedback. So I would say like if I was to give advice to somebody who's in the middle of building a website or thinking about redesigning their e-commerce website, is talk to your customers. They know how they want to shop. And sometimes we have to kind of guide them along a little bit, but they're going to give you everything you need to be able to point yourself in the right direction to how to build that website to accommodate the people you already service and that you're hoping to bring in, because the audiences are probably pretty similar.
That's a good point, actually, to keep things simple, right? And cater to the specific audience that you're serving. Is there this is one I usually slip in there just because admittedly I'm a, I like to geek out on the tech stack, right? But when it comes to conversions, for e-commerce or for the website, what kind of tools do you see as, essential for it to be able to perform really well and, drive more sales?
Our biggest one has been add-ons. So in terms of actually converting people, and it's funny, right? Because that seems like such an obvious answer, and from a sales perspective, yeah, you always want to be upselling. But I find one of the things that a lot of people do is they rely a little bit on, oh, if they're on the website already, they'll probably look for something else. One of our biggest upselling features has just simply been putting a drop-down menu that says, hey, have you considered adding an extra battery to your trimmer? And the number of people that are like, oh yeah, that's probably a really good idea. I should have a second battery for my battery trimmer because I'll probably use two. It's really, and again, it is, we were at a weird point where we have a brick and mortar store. We've been a brick and mortar store for so long that I kind of know what our sales guys are actually saying when they're on the counter, the conversations they're having, and how they're upselling. So we've tailored our website towards that. We've got about a dozen plugins that all do various different add-on functionality. I couldn't tell you all of them off the top of my head, unfortunately, but I would say like really honing in on making sure your add-ons make sense and they're not just add-ons for the sake of add-ons. And really taking that time in the tools that you are using to funnel people into the right selections.
Right. Okay. That's a good one. And I particularly like the point about using the same language as your sales guys to kind of it's just kind of seamless transition between the brick and mortar and the website, right? But maybe you need a spare battery, or you don't want to leave a job half finished, and that's how you sell one more battery, for example. I'm just making it up. Obviously, I don't know
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
guys are saying, but it's pretty smart, using the same language, because at the end of the day, that resonates with your audience, right? With your customers. So that's really good. Okay, so let's, leave technicalities and website aside. Just want to shift gears for a second and talk about you as a e-commerce marketing manager, right?
Mhm.
What's a day in the life for David Myth? Like, what are the main things you focus on a day to day when it comes to managing the website and e-commerce website specifically?
So probably every morning I start off just simple with the check in what's gone through on orders, what are we looking at in terms of engagement, customer inquiries that have come in, and then sending that down to our call center team. So making sure that hey, we're putting the right people to finish those conversations up, make sure things are. I liaise with our shipping and marketing team a lot. So one of the advantages we have is we actually have a full shipping and receiving team here. We're not asking our sales guys to do that. That's a department into itself. So I actually spend a lot of time talking to them, making sure we're not overloading their capacity, making sure that there's no roadblocks from us, making sure that we're actually engaging with everyone properly. From there, a lot of it's optimization. I mentioned we're in the middle of a version 2.0 of our website right now. So we just hired somebody to come on. So I've been going through and getting a detailed list of all the things that we're going to be focusing on to actually improve that website even further along with the way. So, and a lot of that is then department heads like talking with them. Hey, where are you guys noticing blocks? What do you want the website to do more of? What's not working for you? What would you like to do? Um, and from there, it's going to vary day to day. I'm in a lot of meetings. I wish I was in less. I like being kind of hands on, but a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations, and a lot of breakdown of just the analytics of what we're doing, so we can begin planning for the future of what our business looks like. And then I usually spend a bit of time deep diving into our ad platforms, making sure that we're actually seeing the growth we want. I'm very hands on. I should probably learn to take my hands off a little bit and trust the system, but I'm very much one of those people that still spends a little bit too much time putting my hand on the actual steering wheel of everything so that I can kind of make sure we're going the way we want to be going.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts, right? Um, I'm curious because I did a little research, obviously. So you also create content, right?
Yes.
What would that be for yourself? Is that a personal thing, or would that kind of be related to the company? I mean, the question is about whether it's personal or not. How does that help you when it comes to understanding, how content works and what really drives people's attention and things like that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we talked offline here real quick. One of my side hobbies is I'm a content creator. I make Dungeons and Dragons content. I'll call it what it is. And we have a group that we do that with, and it's really funny actually. The amount of stuff that I've learned in that space that's very hidden that you don't really know. Just being an influencer myself, I hate that
Mhm.
phrase, but from the perspective, right? When dealing with companies, I've learned a lot of like what that relationship should look like, what we should expect, how that engagement should work with. But I've also learned a lot of time management skills that are very important. One of the things I've learned is how to talk to a camera. So we're looking here, we're having this conversation right now. It's an underappreciated skill, the ability to have that conversation and look like an actual human being. Because we all know that person that gets on a camera and they just kind of like flop a
Stiff
little
up.
and they stare dead into and their
Right.
their answers end up coming out sounding like this is one long and those kinds of skills are necessary, but they also lend themselves really well to leadership. We talk of, I told you this D&D table I run as a dungeon master. I'm managing anywhere from 4 to 8 people at a time, trying to tell a collaborative story while also maintaining, an audience perspective and engagement with them. It means I've gotten the ability to be very fluid and very good at multitasking into what I do. And it's led a lot into what we're doing. As mentioned, we're building a studio here. We're going to be shooting content in the space. I already know what we needed when we were going into this. I didn't have to do a lot of research. I was able to just present the business case of this is our expenses going forward. This is what we're probably going to be looking at. And it gave me a very unique perspective on how this operates that a lot of people I think would be missing without having that actual experience beforehand.
Right. That's interesting to know. Just how those skills cross over, right? That's Dungeons and Dragons. That's nothing to do with what you do on a daily basis, right? But at the same time, what you're doing is that like those skills actually they transfer over leadership, content creation. That's pretty cool. I think it pays off to have a hobby like that or just really learning, I guess. That would be one of the main things, right? Learning something new.
Yeah.
Okay, so David, we're coming towards the end of the interview, and before we wrap things up, something we do here at Pathmo Presents is a quick, rapid fire question segment. So the only unwritten rule that we have here is that for a concise question, we want a concise answer. You ready for that?
Okay. Ready.
All right, let's
Hit
do
me.
it. So, video content or books?
Video.
Okay, what's the latest video you watched, and did any gems or ideas really stuck with you?
I watched a video from an off-road content creator called Talon Say talking about some of the equipment on the back of his truck, and just his presentation style and the way he actually integrates both ad reads and content into a single video in a seamless manner.
There you go, that critical eye, right? Cool. If you had a magic wand and could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, what would it be?
Social media.
In what way?
Oh, I would love to find a way to make social media less time consuming for me. It would be ideal.
Fair enough. Okay, so if you could go back and give your past self a quick pep talk at the start of your marketing journey, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Um, Ignore the comments in social media spaces, and don't listen to the things that people like to write when they think they're anonymous on Facebook.
That's a good one. I think that would work for anyone, really. Like, even if you don't create content, people get mad for the comment section of someone else's post, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
All right, David. Want to thank you a lot for being on the show with us today, and I want to give you the last word also. So, if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is the one thing that they should remember about the work you're doing at Arns Equipment?
Don't be afraid to take risks. We are an industry that doesn't do what we do here at Arns. So the fact that we're taking a huge risk and it's paying dividends for us through and through, don't be afraid to take those risks. Just because nobody else in your industry is doing it doesn't mean it's a bad idea.
Be fearless. I like it. Love that message. That's really good. All right. Thanks again, David, for joining us today. And where can people reach you? Where can people, just get to know Arns Equipment and yourself if you wanted to.
Yeah, we're most active, believe it or not, right now, just through our website itself. So arns.ca, or alternatively through our alternative website, partshouse.ca. Both of those are key reflections of us. If you want to find me, I'm a lone donut, and that's spelt out fully, DOUGHNUT, anywhere on the internet. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have had from today. I love talking about stuff.
Awesome. Love that nickname. Perfect. All right. Thanks again, David. I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Rick.